Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. I am Jace, and welcome back to I'm Talking To episode 2. Now, it is early morning here in Australia. It is currently 7:22 a.m., and it is raining fucking cats and dogs. So, essentially, it's a cold morning here in Adelaide, but it's okay. I've got my orange juice. I've had my brekkie. And I'm ready to, talk some random things because this is what this show is all about. It's really about an opportunity for me just to a free-flowing type of chat. But I don't want it to be alone here. Certainly, if you'd like to enjoy be engaged and be involved, you can join me live here and I'll let you come into the stream. And of course, if you've got some comments, I will rightfully answer them as long as they're appropriate, and I'm sure they will be appropriate. So, what's going on in my world? Well, currently editing this week at the moment. Did a job in Tasmania this week with my favourite client, and I'm going to say that because the gentleman I work with, I won't name him here because that's really up to him to give me permission to talk about him. But he is a professional, this dude. And it's just a great team member. I love working with him. I keep saying to him, when the business becomes uber successful, I'm going to poach him from his job. And I mean that. But anyway, let's get back to some entertainment news because there is quite a bit of stuff going on at the moment. Not only it's that time of year where all really quality television shows are playing, and we start to get what's interesting because the summer movie season has ended. We start to get towards now the award season, but we also start to get news of things that are going to come out next year. There's not a hell of a lot to talk about today about that, but I think it is interesting because what are we going to be watching next year? Before I get into that, though, have you been watching Alien Earth? Holy fucking shit, is that show so much better than it needs to be. I watched episode 4 last night, and wow, Noah Hawley, the guy who's come up with the show, written director, has done something really special here because he's managed to take the Alien franchise and just beyond associating it with Predators, and there's no Predators, don't get me wrong, it's fully an Alien show, but has expanded that mythology in such an interesting and substantial way. Damn, it's a good show. It really, really is a good show. So if you're not watching Alien Earth, I don't know how you can get a hold of it, but get a hold of it in any way possible and watch what is, man, probably the best thing Aliens has done in the Alien franchise since Aliens back in the 80s. And that's not to degrade Alien Romulus, a film I very much enjoyed and loved. But yeah, wow, you've got to watch that. If you're a Star Trek fan, I'll be saying the opposite. I would not be recommending you watch Strange New World Season 3. If you want to know my full, unbridled, non-conservative opinion on it, watch Captain's Quadrant. Tomorrow night at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's American time. So for here in Australia, 10:30 on a Saturday morning is when you can watch Captain's Quadrant with me. So an Australian, a Texan, and a New Yorker talk about Trek every week. We have a lot of fun. It is what I'm most proud of with Captain's Quadrant, and I got to say, is the fact that we are... Hey, oddball, woot woot. Yes, it is Friday, mate. I assume it's pretty wet out there for you today, and I can't imagine you're cracking many rocks in this weather. Star Trek Strange New World. It sucks. Watch me on Captain's Quadrant. Saturday mornings, 10:30 a.m. Australian time, and we'll talk about it. And you'll hear me rant and rave and, yell at Star Trek. So, either way, movie news. Let's have a look and see what's going on today because, I'm a movie head. Good thing about Oddball, if you don't know about Oddball knew me back in the early to mid-90s. That's where we first met. And he can absolutely confirm I am a massive nerd when it comes to movies. So that is confirmed. That is absolutely confirmed. Anyway, Let's have a look at what's going on. All right. Okay. Star Wars. It's a thing, right? It's a thing I like. As much as the only tattoo I have is Star Wars that you can't see because I'm whatever. I'm a big Star Wars fan, and I will say honest with you, with this modern iteration of Star Wars on television, for the most part, I've enjoyed it. For the most part. So, yeah, it's had its hits and misses. And that's always going to happen when you decide to take a franchise and specifically try to target niche audiences, which I have. So, but for me, obviously, Andor, that season 1, season 2, oh, what a great show. First 2.5 seasons of Mandalorian, pretty great. I liked Ahsoka. I really did. So, yeah, Skeleton Crew was kind of good. Clone Wars a bit. Anyway, they're finally coming back to the movies. Can you remember the last time Star Wars was at the movies was 2019? Something they have struggled to get Star Wars back on the big screen. Next year, we have The Mandalorian and Grogu, which is really the film version of the TV show. All right, so that's one thing. That'll make money because everyone loves themselves some Baby Yoda. But here, the Star Wars Starfighter full cast announced. This is their first big swing. This is the first thing they're going to do that is not related to the TV show or related to the Skywalker saga as such. This is really, beyond their first prime original movie, because even like Rogue One is obviously filling in the gap of before Episode 4 and then fantastic Andor series. Solo was its own standalone thing, but it is associated with a character we already knew. Here, it's all new characters. We know nothing about this. So let's have a look at the full cast and see who they've announced for Star Wars. And wow, what a cast. What a cast. So they've got Ryan Gosling in the lead role, and Ryan Gosling's the man, right? I mean, like, all the women want to date him, all the dudes would like to hang out with him and have a beer, right? But it's got Ryan Gosling, Mia Goth, she's a wonderfully awesome actress. Matt Smith, we all know he was a doctor. Amy Adams, with Sean Levy directing. That's a big deal, Sean Levy's directing. He directed films such as Deadpool Wolverine, which came out 20, was that 4 or 3? I don't know. I can't keep up anymore. I'm getting so old. But also did things like Free Guy. Look, the guy's a really fun director. He knows what he's doing. He's a perfect pick for a film like this. But that's a good cast, man. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. And then you've got Aaron Pierre, who's about to hit it huge with the Lanterns TV show. There's big news around that. So, yeah, stellar cast for a Star Wars movie that isn't related to the Skywalkers and is not referring to any characters we already knew. So even though I think this is going by the wayside for a lot of people, this is rather a significant movie in regards, because the health of the Star Wars franchise can no longer rely on the Skywalker saga, because they wrung every bit of juice out of it and completely screwing it up at the same time with the sequel series. I like Force Awakens. Actually, the sequel series is not bad except for Rise of Skywalker, all right? Like, to me, I've always argued this, and I will go into this further another time, but The Last Jedi is a great movie. I don't care what anyone says, and that should have been the final film in the Star Wars series. Because if we're talking about the Luke Skywalker saga, spoiler alert, it pretty well finishes with him in that film. So Last Jedi, I will fight you over my love for that film. I think it's wonderful. I think it's great. But enough of Star Wars crap. Hey, let's move on and see what else is going on. Not a lot. What else is going on here? Ridley Scott on Gladiator 3, another Alien, and turning down a $20 million offer to direct Terminator 3. Wow, that's a big one, eh? $20 million to direct Terminator 3. Can you imagine a Ridley Scott Terminator 3 movie? So that's interesting, isn't it? That would have been based off on his success of Gladiator, because that came out 2001. And Terminator 3 was what, 2003, I think. So, yeah, that's why he got offered $20 million. Weird stuff, right? Weird stuff. But again, it's the cancer of Hollywood at the moment. My love for Hollywood, and hey, there you go. Oddball said I'm the ultimate movie junkie. He's not lying. I am. I don't know if I'm the ultimate, maybe penultimate, but I'm certainly a big fan. I love myself in film, and I think is I'm also hyper aware that we're living in some of the most visually spectacular time in regards to movies. There's nothing we can't do on film now. There is nothing holding you back in regards to technological achievement. But we're also seeing the weakest writing period, than we've ever seen in Hollywood, and a Hollywood that is ultra dependent on intellectual property, which has driven over the last 2 years what gets made, and the only saving grace to ensure that films that without streaming you just would never see. Because here's what happened. Once in the 2000s, and event movies were the big money, even in the 90s. Event movies like Spider-Man and X-Men, like the big films of the summer. Studios were making huge bank off of those movies. But at the same time, didn't want to invest in the second tier of film, which is the $40 million film. Excuse me. A $40 million film basically refers to that next level. In the 80s and 90s, we'd see a lot of original action films, comedy movies, eclectic style of maybe sci-fi and fantasy and all that. And generally those movies were made around the $40 million mark. That meant it was kind of a mitigation by the studio where they could make those films and feel pretty confident between the box office returns and the VHS videotape sales, you would be able to profit. So the movie got made. Now, that model continued pretty well, even up until the middle of the 2000s. After that, we saw a breakdown because technology changed, streaming. We had the wave of VHS, and then we had DVD, and then we had Blu-ray. And now, streaming came on board. It changed the game because no longer were studios making, money from after sales when films went to sale. People go buy. Man, at one point, I had a fucking huge Blu-ray collection. And I got to a point where I got rid of it, mostly all of it, just because, I don't know, I was silly enough to think that you don't need physical media. I think I was wrong on that one. Either way, what it meant for Hollywood is, Hollywood didn't want to spend money on making $40 million films. So movies that you love, wouldn't get made. Like Die Hard fits in that. You imagine a world we don't have Die Hard, we don't have Back to the Future, we don't have Ghostbusters, we don't have The Breakfast Club, we don't have, and you name it, because a lot of those films fit in that bracket. Absolutely would fit in that bracket. It wouldn't get made. But streaming, the need for content on streaming changed the game again. So those films do exist now, luckily, in a streaming world. It makes it harder to market it and make it stand out, but you do get some gems. This year, I would say one of the gems that I liked, and I know it's a ridiculous film. I get it. It was actually two films from the same streaming service that I really kind of liked. And one was Heads of State with John Cena and Idris Elba. It's about a Prime Minister of England and the President of the United States in a buddy action movie. It's stupid conceptually, but, mate, those guys have got energy and their chemistry makes it work. A lot of fun. And a little movie called Deep Cover, starring Bryce Dallas Howard. Check it out. It's a wonderful little film, both on Prime Video, which is kind of cool. There we go. All right, another news too. People have been asking me, what's going on with Talking Tubi? Why haven't we got an episode 8 yet of Talking Tubi? Listen, they take a little bit to do. Like they take a bit of time. And I've decided, look, I take my time. I don't adhere to a schedule. I can say all the elements for that show are pretty well ready. I need to do my recording and then go into the editing process. So I would expect something by next weekend, potentially, or midweek, the week after. We'll have the brand new episode of Talking Tubi, which is great. And that's why I'm Talking To exists, is a way for me to still produce content for you guys, even though it's very unscripted and just top of the head stuff. It's a way to kind of keep it forward. But I do love the appreciation I've had for Talking Tubi. It's a bit of a crazy idea. I could also tell you that season 2 is going to be a banger of a season, just from the upgrade in technologics that we're going to be doing, if that's a word. No, it's going to be upscaled. I've definitely got some fresh ideas. The core of the show remains, and my co-host will remain. That's correct. AI Arnold, he remains. He's not going anywhere. I will have occasional guests in, but yeah, he's my man. So Talking Tubi, as you can see by the shirt, is coming down the pipeline. Just takes a bit. So I'm doing this stuff. It sounds a bit of fun. What I was hoping, though, if you guys are out there, even if you watch it later, what's your favourite thing you're watching at the moment on TV? What is the thing that you cannot wait to be watching each week? Right now, for me, it's a mix between two. And that is Alien Earth, which is I've talked about, is amazing. And then there's also Peacemaker Season 2, which is just crazy. I love that show. I love the first season. First episode was really different. I loved it. So, yeah, between Peacemaker and Alien Earth. But are any of those my favourite show of the year? No. It's The Pit. If there's any show that I would recommend to any, if there's one show that you need to be watching this year, it is The Pit. Now, it's a medical drama. And can I give you the honest truth? I traditionally fucking hate medical dramas, including ER. You could stuff ER right where the sun don't shine. But this show is something different. Done with the 24 format, where it was done in real time, except for this one set over one shift, like in an emergency room. So it's like a 15-hour period. But man, unbelievable show. Highly recommend that. So definitely check that out. And the other thing I wanted to kind of raise, because something I've just started doing of recent times, and going back to it, is I'm watching Smallville. So that show, yes, that old show about Superman from 22 years ago, I started going back watching it. And before I get into that, Good Omens Season 3. Good Omens is a good show. It's a good show. It also reminds me, oddball, that that's another show on the Prime Video streaming service. They're really kicking butt at the moment. They're making quality stuff. So, yeah. But Smallville. Why did I go back and decide to watch Smallville? Pretty simple. Like, I'm a big podcast fan. Obviously, I make podcasts, but also I listen to a lot. And one of them I like is a show called Inside of You with Michael Rosenbaum. And, of course, he played Lex Luthor in Smallville. And him and Tom Welling decided to do, this is a while ago now, started to do something called Talkville. Where it was a podcast where they were going to break down the making of and talk about each episode of Smallville. I've been aware of it for a while. But I suppose it's because of James Gunn's Superman movie, which I absolutely adore. And I thought, I know that movie was kind of influenced by the show a little bit. So I thought I'd go back and start watching them. So what I do is I watch one episode of Smallville, and then I go watch the Talkville podcast where they break it down. And that's really great. And you know what I'm really shocked at? Yes, Smallville is a bit CW. I mean, it's the OG CW. A bit melodramatic. They've got a budget. But, man, I handle the character so well. And the Michael Rosenbaum, who plays Lex Luthor, he's fucking perfect as Lex. He just has that character down pat. So, yeah, you've got to go back. You've got to forgive the fact it is 22 years old. Some of the special effects aren't so great. It's very much Freak of the Week, as they call it, like a different enemy they got to fight each week. But at the heart of it, the writing's really smart. It's a clever show. So, absolutely, if you're looking to go back to watch something, Smallville's great. And guess what? It's on Prime Video as well. This sounds like a giant ad for Prime Video, but it is a great streaming service. So absolutely kind of go check out Smallville because, yeah, in the pantheon of garbage that they serve up to you these days, sometimes it's worth going back and watching an older show and binge watching. I've got 9 seasons of that show to go through at 24 episodes a season. See, that's something we don't get anymore. We don't fucking get that anymore. You know, TV shows back in the day were 24 episodes long. Now, the standard is what? It's either 8, 10, 13. That seems to be the streaming numbers of episodes you get. Which sucks because, you know, you don't get enough content. It also, to me, becomes more unforgiving. And this is why I've been really dirty on Star Trek as well. If you have 10 or 13 episodes to do a season, right, that's all you're doing, then those scripts better be tight as fuck. Like, they need to be rock solid scripts. There's no excuse. Like back in the day with Star Trek, we would get episodes that were filler episodes or maybe not so good because you knew they were doing 25, 26 episodes sometimes in a 24 episode season. But mostly it would be fantastic. Star Trek now, you get the same amount of duds, except they're not buried under 17 or 18 episodes of quality television. They're there front and center. That's what we're supposed to be told Star Trek is now. You know, let me be really honest with you. It's such a mishandling of a franchise. You know, people complain about Star Wars. They complain about any other franchise. They want Marvel, DC. But the mishandling on the Star Trek franchise is frankly obscene. It is ridiculous what they've done to a franchise, which used to be the gold standard in sci-fi and television. It was. Like, if you wanted to watch the best sci-fi show on television, you'd be watching Star Trek in the 90s. No more. That's way gone now. Not going to happen. Absolutely ridiculous. It's offensive. I'm really angry about Star Trek. And it's... What? Oh, what a great question. Here we go, Oddball. Oddball is asking, what defines a season? What defines a season? Gee, that's a great question. How can I say it? It's usually defined by the creators. So they'll call something season 1, season 2, season 3. And a season is not dependent on the amount of episodes. It's dependent usually on the story arc they're wanting to tell. Now, it could be generally captured in a year-long kind of bracket. They'll do a season. But again, that can change too. I mean, we've seen shows where we've had, you know, season 2, part 1, and then a year and a half later, we get season 1, part 2, you know? So it's not a very definable thing. It's a very malleable term in the industry. But generally, that's how I kind of focus it. Like, you had Peacemaker season 1, had 10 episodes. That was it. Story was over. And now, you know, 3 years later, we've got season 2. And it'll be 10 episodes or 8 episodes and it's done. And so, yeah, I think it's defined by the creators themselves, you know, and generally by how they're going to release it. But a season, yeah. Yeah, it's like I talk about Talking Tubi doing its first season. In my head, I was like, I'm making 10 episodes this year. That's what I'm doing. I'm doing 10 episodes a year. And this is going to sound insane. For 10 years. That's my plan. Talking Tubi will be 100 episodes with 10 episodes over 10 years. I know it's a grand plan, isn't it? But, you know, think big. So that's what I think. I don't know if that's the right answer, Oddball, but it's how I kind of perceive seasons. It used to be traditionally a lot easier to structure the description of a season. It's because it's a whole new world. People making, redefining those terms just because of the way the world is now. Director's choice, yeah. Yeah, I mean, you laugh, but yeah, it could be. You know what I mean? It depends on what type of story you're trying to tell as well. And I do think story is at the heart of what defines a season. It's just like, well, what story are we trying? How big is this story? How small is this story? How many episodes is going to take this story? That's generally from the creator's point of view. Then the studio comes along and goes, mate, you're dreaming. We're not funding that many. We'll do half. And then that changes again. But yeah, I don't know what to think about the modern day when it comes to streaming services, the amount of content we have. Generation X is probably the last generation that will experience a completely different model for entertainment than we've ever had, because we were raised in an era where it was still okay. It was owned by corporations, but the old Hollywood system and release day and how you could watch stuff at home was pretty well defined. Everybody made a lot of money, but now, with streaming, everything, the apple cart is upset. Everything's changing. Hollywood is changing. I mean, do you know, back in the day, if you went to Hollywood and you were lucky enough to go to a backlot, every studio would be filled with a new movie, new TV show. It's the town. Hollywood is the heart of the American cinema landscape. Not no more. It's changed because California's high tax rate in regards to production means a lot of productions now are filmed out of Hollywood completely. It's just too expensive to film in Hollywood, which means a lot of those backlots are empty. And that's changed things quite significantly, rattled Hollywood, The other thing that's rattled Hollywood around the streaming services is money. The money isn't there anymore. Actors don't get paid anywhere near the amounts they were being paid in the 90s. Just doesn't happen anymore. It's almost like becoming acting has come down to almost a working class pay structure. And that's the reality, You're going to see more and more celebrities doing whatever they can to make money. That's why you see sometimes big name celebrities hosting game shows or doing commercials and stuff like that, because they're not getting the money from Hollywood there before. Residuals are gone. I don't know if you guys know what residuals are, but it's literally a constant payment you get paid. Every time they air it somewhere in the world, you get a little bit of money for them airing it. Now, that was great back in the day, which means you could be on a show for 7-8 years and not really have to work again, because the residuals were coming in thick and fast. Let's face it, the entire cast from Friends, who are still alive, really probably don't need to work. They could live off their residuals quite nicely. But now if you're in a show, you're not getting any of that. You're not getting your residuals anymore. So you're earning the money that you're earning, and you're earning a fraction of what you used to earn. So what do? You, like everyone else, you got to hustle. You got to go make money. It's a changing landscape, Studios only want to make movies that will make them money. It's got to be IP-related, sequel, prequel, reboot, rehash, whatever the fuck you want to call it. So, but with the death of old Hollywood and this muddling time that we have now, there will rise a new era. A new golden age will rise from this. May take another 10, 20 years for it to happen, but it will happen because there's also something called fatigue. Now, Disney and all the other studios can pump down as many Star Wars films down your throat, many Marvel films, Pixar films, but people get fatigue. Something like Endgame or Avengers Endgame or Infinity War, massive event movies. Well, if you're making massive event movies every single year, they're not massive events anymore. They're just the standard. They're the ho-hum. And so what will happen is people will go, I don't want to go and see Avengers 17. I don't give a shit. I can watch it in streaming in a month anyway. And then what will happen is Hollywood will panic. They'll be forced to try new things, give opportunities to young filmmakers that weren't getting them. And that will born a new era. Absolutely it will. And I can't wait for that day. I celebrate that. Whatever you think of the 1980s film landscape in the 1970s and 1990s, they took chances then. They took chances. Today, a film like The Fifth Element would never be made. A film like Independence Day would probably be going straight to Hulu. Men in Black, maybe a streaming series. And that's just from the 90s, let alone go back, But then they took big swings and they got big results from it. And because of all the big swings and the creative risks that were taken from the 70s, 80s, and 90s, Hollywood 30 years later from the 90s is still feeding off the carcass of those films that were made. And that's why we get the situation we've got. It's just the truth. It's the way I see it. Either way, yeah. I wonder what you guys are really digging into now on TV. Again, I'm asking that again because I'm really interested, even if you're watching this later, which you probably will be. Tell me what your favourite thing on TV at the moment is. Enlighten me, educate me. And the thing is, I really take people's opinion on films and TV so seriously now, because how else do you find everything? Because we also know with the streaming, there is good content being made that gets buried under all the noise. So trying to find that stuff can be difficult at times. There you go. All right, let me just take a mouthful of drink. Oh, boy. Good old OJ. They'll get the heart started in the morning. What else do I want to talk about? Yes. Also, something I don't promote enough and something I'm really proud of. I talked about it in the last episode, but I just want to Roy Gaston channel. I wanted to start sharing more of the content that we're creating over there, because we are creating, I think, some really, really great content. So I'm looking forward to share some of this stuff with you. We're starting to, I'm starting to look at some of the shows that we're doing, and we're going to give them a bit of a reboot and a rebrand. You know what I mean? Yeah, and one of the shows I'm really loving, and I'm so delighted about this because I was a massive fan as a kid, and because they're making a movie of it now, it's kind of back in the zeitgeist. But funnily enough, a couple of years ago, me and my mate, Jason Roy Gaston, realised that we were old school, massive He-Man and Master of the Universe fans. So we came up with our own show, which we've been doing for a couple of years. He has been doing a lot, but we love it. It's really fast, more than anyone else. And it's called Power of J-Skull. Huh? Do you like that title, Power of J-Skull? I like that title. And it's a show, that we've been talking about old He-Man episodes. Little did we know at the time that they were making a big blockbuster film. And in fact, we will be seeing Master of the Universe next year in all its glory. It won't be the Dolph Lundgren sequel. It'll be its own thing. But yeah. And we're talking about all the time, plus all the other old TV shows, news that have dropped. Yes, over at The Power of J-Skull. There I am as my favourite character, Stratos, and there's my colleague who thinks he's a bit of a He-Man. But only if you knew the real truth. Anyway, that's it, guys. I've crapped on for long enough. I've got a whole day of editing to get started. Got to go through and get this job kind of cut and get it ready for it to be approved. And then finally, I'll probably get to be able to show you what it was at the end of the month. But yeah, editing, man. It's not for everybody. Like, I would bet that you have to have a certain mindset to edit, like the ability to concentrate on long periods of time. And it's something I have. Plus, I have a creative mind, so it's one of those things where I go, gamers generally make, serious gamers would make great editors because your ability just to hyper focus for a long period. So yeah, I think anybody can be a good editor. I really believe that anybody can be a good editor. But you got to have a vision. You got to have an eye. You got to have a style. And I don't want to sound pretentious, because at the beginning of my journey to become, doing my own business, which Oddball, if you could comment, if you're there, yes, Crapopolis is really good too. Really, really good. Yep, I'll give you that one as well. There is great stuff out there, but Oddball would be also you know, we had seen it, we hung out for a while, but then life just went different pathways, and we only reconnected after 20-something years. And I'd tell you what, probably the most unsurprising thing for him would have been, oh, he really did make a video business in the end. Because as Oddball knew, I was right into this stuff years ago. But I had to raise a family first before I did it. But I did that, and here we go. But, yeah. What I've realised over the last 5 years when it comes to editing, I actually have a visual style. You can look at my work and identify, there's a certain familiarity, there's a certain way he shoots things, there's a way he edits things that define the kind of work I do. Something that was a bit shocking because I thought, that's all artsy-fartsy bullshit. But it's true. It is really true. That, I have my own style. It's something that's a shock, but I'm really proud of it, you know. I mean, the fact of the matter is, like every client I've worked with, you know, whether I work with them now or no longer work with them, was always more than one job. I've never worked with a client who hasn't called me back to come back and do something else. So it's something I'm also very, very proud of. So, but there you go. I think it's about the end of this. Like I said, I've got a whole day of editing to do. Go check me out on Saturday morning if you're in Australia at the Captain's Quadrant, or if you're in America, of course, Friday night, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Check me out on the Jason Roy Gaston channel, Pop Culture Spread, and of course here in the home of Jace, Talking to Me. Guys, again, thank you very much. I don't know what that show is really about. All I know is it's fun doing. So keep it real. Have a great Friday or Thursday or wherever goddamn time zone you're in. And, I'll catch you in the meantime. See you, people.